بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. All praise and gratitude is for the sake of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We seek His help and forgiveness from the evil of our souls and from the sins that we have committed. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all of his righteous followers till the day of judgment. Ameen. So just for the benefit of everybody, we ended basically talking about how Ibrahim alayhi salam left from the people that were worshipping idols and his father and the influence of his father, the negative aspect of it. And next week we'll be talking about how they would actually plan to throw him in the fire. There's a lot to be discussed there. But we mentioned that when he's leaving his father, he tells his father that he will make dua for him. So this is a passage in Surah Shu'ara, verse 83 to 89, chapter 26, verse 83 to 89, where Ibrahim alayhi salam says, and from this dua we can gain a lot of lessons, inshallah. It's a very short but beautiful, compact dua. ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واجعل لي لسان صدق في الآخرين واجعلني من ورثه جنة النعيم واغفر لي أبي إنه كان من الضالين ولا تخزني يوم يبعثون يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. My Lord, number one, grant me wisdom and join me with the righteous. So good company and good knowledge, right? Number one is wisdom, which is knowledge, and wisdom comes through experience, but you have to have knowledge to have wisdom. And join me with the righteous. So good company. Next, bless me with honorable mention among the later generations. So let me be someone who leaves a legacy. People remember me for good. So not just thinking about your worldly life right now, but what happens after you pass away. Make me one of the ones who's awarded the garden of bliss. This is really powerful. So one of the things we discussed about the lady and how this lady, I didn't even mention her name, how she put a lot of her trust in the worldly things that were given to her, a lot of wealth that she accumulated from her father and ancestors, but eventually died and didn't take any of that with her. And who ended up inheriting it was the children, right? The child that she put so much value towards. So what Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying here is, and give me the award of gardens of bliss. They are going to be in Jannah homes of people that will be empty. Because for every human being, Allah has already created their spot in Jannah. But only people who do not end up in Jannah are the ones who reject it. They give up that house for these worldly things. So on that day, guess what? The believers will actually inherit, because there's going to be a lot of empty homes in Jannah. And the believers will inherit it. So what Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying is, I'm not just looking for worldly inheritance, but what I want is that palace of Fir'aun in Jannah. Because Fir'aun, he's going to have an empty house. So I'm going to go look big. I'm going to think big. I want that bliss and those gardens and that property in Jannah. Because there's going to be a lot of empty property. So you see how far-fetched, how far he thinks. That's how we should make du'as, big du'as, not like little things, but big du'as, because for Allah anything's possible. And then, of course, he fulfills his promise and he says, فَغْفِرْ لِي أَبِي, and forgive my father. So he doesn't just leave him hanging, but he makes dua for him. And he says, certainly he is among the ones who were misguided. And do not disgrace me on the day of judgment, the day when neither wealth nor children will be of any benefit, and those who come before Allah with a pure heart will be saved, which is qalbin salim. So the only people that will be saved on the day of judgment are the ones with a pure heart. And I'd just like to end with something beautiful that Hassan al-Basri mentioned when it comes to good company. There are 5 things he mentions that if you have good friends, this is the benefit of that. Number 1, they will make dua for you, if it's good friends. Number 2, they will give you good advice when you need it, right? Not just advice that you want to hear, but stuff that really makes a difference. Number 3, like the statement goes, that birds of a feather flock together, right? So if they're good friends, you're going to always end up hanging around with them, and you're going to be in the right areas and company. Number 4, you get more deeds being around them, right? Good deeds. So if you're around them, most likely going to be doing more good deeds, like we talked about in the last activity. Number 5, they encourage you to do better, right? And we had an activity regarding that too. And finally, they would intercede for you in Jannah. So there's actually going to be people in Jannah who would say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, I used to hang around with this friend of mine and I don't see him in Jannah. Guess what? That friend ended up in the hellfire. So this person would say, oh Allah, I make dua to you, I request you if my friend could also be in Jannah with me. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would allow him and pick his friends and allow him to intercede on their behalf and take him to Jannah with him. SubhanAllah, I mean, what could we ask for better than that, right? That we end up in the worst place, but because of the intercession of a good friend, he says something on our behalf and we're taking to the right place. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make those who make good friends, bless this gathering. And your good friends, like I said, are the ones that really want the good for you, not the cool and popular ones sometimes. Nothing wrong with popularity, but a lot of popular people not really following any good morals or values. So be watchful of the kind of friends that you make. Jazakallah khair. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Inshallah, we're going to play some Kahoot. Everyone's welcome to join. Assalamu alaikum.